Shalom, Yasharala. This is your brother David Dot from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming to you with this truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and rule well. Salutation and much love to you, brothers, pushing this truth and truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth. I'm going to get into this here lesson dealing with Yahweh Shah, okay? Now, a lot of... pretty much everybody, this is dealing with everybody. The question isn't, dealing with the Most High and also Yahweh Shah. That, we're going to talk about the Most High first. A lot of people, you have a thing called atheists, right? People think that they don't believe in the Most High, which that's not true at all. The question isn't whether people believe in the existence of the Most High or not. That's not a question to anybody, even atheists. Hardcore people that are totally, let's say if the Most High is an extreme right-wingist, not talking about political, but we just going on a spectrum, from left to right. If the Most High is all the way at the far right, the extreme right, the people at the extreme left, the people that are completely contrary to him, it's still not a question to them whether or not he exists or not, The question is whether or not they're going to, accept him or abide by his rules, more or less to say, Same with Yahweh Shah. Well, going back onto the Most High, it's like here in America, right? You have something here in America called laws, right? Then you also have you have law-abiding citizens, and then you have criminals, okay? This is the same thing that's going on here in the scriptures. You have, the Most High and his law, like you have America and their law. Then you have law-abiding citizens, the so-called the righteous men, that would be the righteous men following the law, statutes, commandments, and those would be considered like your law-abiding citizens. Then you have your criminals, the people who would be on this extreme left, the ones that don't want to hearken unto the law. The criminals, you see, when you dealing with here in America, you have the criminals, right? It's not that criminals don't believe that the United States don't exist, or that the government don't exist, or the laws don't exist. They know that, let's say you have a bank robber, right? Now, the bank robber, when he's robbing the bank, he knows that it's illegal to steal the money out the bank, okay? He knows that, right? He knows that the money in the bank ain't his and all that, so on and so forth. And he knows he's doing something illegal to get it, He knows he has to make that conscious choice to go against what the laws are. Okay? In order for him to go against them, he has to accept that they're there. And then he's like, you know what, fuck that, I'm going to go and do my own thing anyway. So that's what's going on here with the Most High and people that so-called say that they believe or they don't believe. It's more or less they're going to follow the laws, whether they're going to be a law-abiding citizen or they're going to be a criminal. Okay? Both of these people, they both still understand and believe that the law exists. They know that the law exists, It's like when you out there drinking and driving. You know that it's illegal to drink and drive. You know that if you see the police get behind you, you put your drink down, right? So you're breaking the law, but you know what the law is. You understand what the law is. You just choosing not to follow it, Now, dealing with Yahweh Shah, a lot of the things, like this came up at camp over the weekend, This Edomite basically is like, well, what kind of sources do you have, that he actually existed, that man actually existed, And, and for the sake of his argument, I already knew where he was coming from, because he said something like, basically, what is your source outside of the Bible, more or less to say, And, one of the brothers brought out a non-biblical source, this was the Edomite we was talking to, okay? And so under the pretext, I'm trying to give him all the ammo he can get, because we out here prophesying that Yahweh Shah was a so-called man of color, okay? And that he wasn't, in the story that they give you and all that stuff, right? He's coming up against that, so he's asking about the non-biblical text about it, and we're like, okay, well, we believe that Esau, the so-called white man, is the devil. He's our enemy. However, and that he's the devil, the deceiver, However, we'll go to one of his books, because people like to say that the scriptures, the Bible was written by a white man, but that's not true. But nevertheless, we went to one of his books, one of the books that these so-called scholars, historians wrote, and pulled out facts about that as well, and I also brought up the fact that there's more non-biblical sources and writings about who the world calls Jesus Christ than there is on any other person on planet Earth, as a matter of fact. But for the sake of this, you talk about these people in history, and I brought out, like, okay, you believe in that Alexander the Greek existed, okay? You believe that, what was that, the Caesar name? You believe, like, Julius Caesar, the Caesars lived. You believe, like, Pontius Pilate lived. You believe, George Washington, all these people lived, right? And then, you have to ask, like, well, you never seen them. Like, well, there were other people that did see him, and what they do, they documented, they documented the things that they did, they wrote it down and stuff like that, And the people of those times, there wasn't a controversy whether or not these people existed. The controversy was always over other things, Like, let's say George Washington, Like right now in today's times, there's a so-called controversy if you actually go deep enough in that, whether or not, him, they tell us he was a founding father, so whether or not he was a good man or a bad man, or Andrew Jackson, the controversy isn't over if he existed or if he was a president. The question is, was he a good person or a bad person, Some Edomites here was like, oh, he was a founding father, or he was a early president, he was a good person, but nevertheless, this was the man who had pretty much instituted the Trail of Tears, So the controversy isn't over if these people existed. The controversy was over things that they did. Same with Yahushua, We're going to bring out some scriptures, because in the scriptures they testify about him, seeing him, the things that he did and stuff like that. But we're going to bring out certain things where the controversy over Yahushua, because in the scriptures, the controversy wasn't whether or not he existed or not, because they all knew he existed. They were sitting there talking to him, And the controversy was over his title that, the Son of God, more or less, And the only controversy with that was that was a threat to certain people's power structure, So for the example, in The Lion King, okay, you have the movie The Lion King. You have Mufasa is the king. His brother Scar want to take over, right? Mufasa has a son, Simba. Simba's supposed to replace his father, more or less to say, And so Scar winds up killing off Mufasa and runs Simba off, long story short, Now, Scar is reigning as the king, and so he's going to do whatever he can do to keep Simba out of the limelight, because once Simba come back onto the scene, that's a threat to his position in rulership, more or less to say. So this is the same thing that was going on back in those days. You had people that was so-called on top, the people that was at the, more or less to say, the top of the government, more or less to say, or the top, but they was there, not wrongfully, but like they was in the temples and stuff, and they was being money changers and stuff, they was a corrupt government. There you go. There was like a corrupt government, more or less to say. Now, Yahushua coming back, they called him the King of the Jews, he was the king, but he didn't even come as the king at that point in time, he didn't come to reign at that point in time, but nevertheless, these people saw that as a threat to their positions of power. So this was the argument, okay? It wasn't the fact that he existed or anything like that, and they also saw his powers. So we're going to get into these scriptures, and we're going to pull all of that there out. All right, so we're going to just jump right into it because we got a couple scripts. This is the book of Mark, chapter 15. We'll go down to verse 9. It says, Mark 15:9, but Pilate answered them, saying, will ye that I release unto you the King of the Jews? For he knew that the chief priests had delivered him for envy. Okay, so you have Pontius Pilate here, okay, and hold on, Salakia. I looked this here up. Okay, so Pontius Pilate was the fifth prefect of the Roman province of Judea. Okay, he served under Emperor Tiberius and is best known today for the trial and crucifixion of Yahushua. Okay, so you have historical evidence of this guy here living. Okay, and the things that he was known for. Now also they have what they call the Pilate stone. Okay, so you have the Pilate stone here that was found that how do you say give credence to his existence, you know? So, you know, you can go into this and look up more things about him and his family and things like that. So if this person existed and they go into his history, how much more that, you know, Yahushua existed, you know? There's a lot of things inside the scriptures where the Israelites more or less intertwine with other people in the world, you know. And you can look those people up, and then it would tell you the same thing, like Shalmaneser or Artaxerxes. You know, there's a movie 300 that talks about Xerxes. You know, like you just look up Xerxes and look up his look into his history and stuff. Find out who his wife was. There's a book called the Book of Esther that talks about all of that stuff. You know. So for people to be like, oh, there's no biblical source on it, like, well, I mean, they run hand in hand with the same thing, you know. But nevertheless, getting back over here to Mark 15:9, it says, but Pilate answered them, saying, will ye that I release unto you the king of the Jews? For he knew that the chief priest had delivered him for envy. Yeah, like the Lion King deal, you know. So, again, these people, the chief priest, more or less to say, how do you say, for example, they like the government, you know, a corrupt government, and they know that the righteous government is coming to clean them all up, and they don't want to lose their position because they over here stealing from everybody, more or less to say, you know, just like the Illuminati today, you know. The Illuminati will sit there and discredit you and stuff like that, you know, these high governments and try to shut down YouTube. Why do you think they try to shut down YouTube? Because we're exposing them in their truth, and it's a threat to their power structure, you know. If everybody in the world knows that the damn Rothschilds is stealing from everybody, and they're the main crooks, and there's only so little of them comparably to the rest of the civilization of the planet, what do you think is going to happen to them? This is why they have to keep either denying this or putting you to sleep and distracting you. It's not the fact that what we're saying isn't true, it's just a threat to their power structure, okay? So they're going to come up with any and everything. It says, verse 10, for they knew that the chief priest had delivered him for envy, not because of anything he did, just because they envied him. They was jealous of him. They didn't want him to usurp their authority. It says, but the chief priest removed the people that he should rather release Barabbas unto them. And Pilate answered and said again unto them, what will ye then that I shall do unto him whom ye call King of the Jews? And they cried out again, crucify him. Okay. Then Pilate said unto them, why, what evil hath he done? And they cried out more exceedingly, crucify him. So, again, they're like, yo, you know, Pontius Pilate was like, what did he do, you know, that I should bring down this judgment on him, you know? And basically it was over a power struggle. They didn't want to, okay, so basically you getting caught up into this lie, you know, you a low-level person, right? These are the so-called governmental bodies. They only coming up with these laws to throw you off, basically, so that they can stay in power and keep stealing from you, okay? This has nothing to do with, they're not thinking about you in no kind of ways. Like, basically, your savior trying to come and help you from all your oppression, okay? Just like here right now today, you know, you got, I'm going to use this word for just a short-term word. You got the Illuminati right now, okay, that's trying to GMO us out and all, trying to kill us, you know, put us in captivity and stuff like that. Telling, you know, and we out here exposing the market of beast, their financial system, and all this and that. What happens if everybody knows that the market of beast is the market of beast, the RFID chip, you know? What if everybody knows about all these scams and scandals and all this stuff, you know? Do you think that they would continue on profiting? No, it would be a threat to them. This is why they strike down channels. This is why they do all these things and make all false accusations against us. This is why they set up these fake camps, because this true doctrine is coming out and it's exposing them, okay? It's a threat unto their power structure. So they have to come out and try to discredit us and discredit all these things with whatever they can. They're going to throw everything that they got in it, you know? This is why they come out with, oh, they rapists, they pedophiles. Okay, well, if we rapists and pedophiles, why the fuck are we on the side of the road, on YouTube, on the internet, week in, week out? We not hiding. Like, every weekend we on the same corner. You keep calling us rapists and pedophiles and shit like that, then call the police and send them, like, first of all, fuck calling the police, because the police come down to camp damn near every weekend, okay? They know our names, they know all the things about us, okay? We didn't have police come up like, oh, I know you, and know your first and last name, and we're in a different city from, you know, where we would live at, so how the fuck do you know us, unless y'all watching us closely, you're investigating us, okay? If they over here investigating us with their infrastructure and the power and technology that they got, you know, and they ain't found no dirt. How, like, what do you people over here believe in, you know? This is just disinformation to throw you off so that, you know, again, because we are threatened to their power and their authority, okay? We're telling the people to come back to the law, statutes, commandments, all right? What is that doing to Esau and his people? It's a threat to his power. We're telling them, look, basically stop following Esau and his bullshit. Why? Because, like Ezekiel 37, you the valley of dry bones. How did you get so damn dead? You didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments. What'd you want to do? You wanted to serve Esau. Okay? You followed after him, now you all fucked up. You want to come back alive. Okay? So Esau can't keep enslaving you. He can only enslave you if you dumb and docile. Okay? But if you wake back up and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, then he has no rulership over you. You take away his most prized and the only resource that he wants. Esau only wants one resource. It's not gold, it's not oil, and it's not money. He wants your ass. Because you'll plow the whole earth for him and get him all the other things in there. So as long as he keep you as a slave, he ruling. Okay? But if you ever wake up, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay? So if you wake up, then you no longer be a good slave unto him. Okay? This is the real weapon of mass destruction. Knowledge. You wake a person up to who Esau is, then all his shits go down a drain, you know? We're going to jump into the book of Matthew chapter 4. I'm going to start at the top. This is Matthew 4:1. Then was Yahushua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Okay, so now this is going to be the devil, okay, and Yahushua here. Now we're going to look at some of the verbiage that he uses here, okay? And we're going to, again, the subject here is whether or not people like the belief into the Most High and His Son. That's not what the question is. The question is whether they're going to accept them as being who they say they are, you know? It's like if the police roll up on you with his police lights, his badge, and his uniform and tell you to pull over, you have to make that choice whether or not you're going to stop and acknowledge him as being the police. You're going to believe, okay, I'm actually getting pulled over. I need to stop. This is what we're supposed to do, you know? Versus, well, I mean, I see them lights. I see his badge and all that, but that shit don't mean nothing to me. You know, I'm going to just keep it moving, you know? That's the decision that's going to be made here, you know? And really in that police scenario that I just gave, you know, I mean, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but if you don't want to believe that that's the police and your ass getting pulled over, that's just you and your own folly, you know? And when your ass gets shot down or some shit like that because you didn't want to believe it was the police, I mean, so what if some didn't believe? Is that going to stop the Most High? You know, if you don't want to believe that they the police, you don't want to pull over and stop when they got them guns drawn, is that going to stop them bullets? I don't give a fuck about no badge. I don't give a fuck. I don't see the police. You ain't the police over me. I ain't no slave on you. All right, you can believe what you want to believe, but when them bullets hit your flesh and your soul raised up out your body, then what? And you know what I mean? You're going to have to just meet that judgment. That's just you and your own being dysfunctional, basically, you know? But nevertheless, going back over to Matthew 4:1, then was Yahushua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward a hungered. Then was the tempter came into him and said, If thou be the Son of God, okay, if thou be the Son of God, command these stones be made bread. So the devil is even coming over and saying, look, if thou be the Son of God, okay. So the question is, like, so more, if you to be the police, then go ahead and arrest me, more or less to say, okay. It's not talking about if he exists or not, you know, like, yeah, he existed. He was there, you know what I'm saying? And we'll get into some of the other things that just like, all right, you know, it's two steps. He existed, and he's also fulfilling the things that it was written about that he would do. So, I mean, like, you know, they the police, they got the lights on, they got the loudspeaker on, you committed a crime, they got their guns drawn. It's up to you now whether you want to just keep it moving or if you want to sit there and listen to what they got to say. Okay? Your life is in your own hand. Like, it's clear and obvious. You just robbed a bank. The police behind you. Like, you know what I mean? But if you don't want to believe them, then you just got to face your judgment. Verse 4, but he answered and said, It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Most High. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city and set him on the pinnacle of a temple, and said, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and their hand shall bear thee up, lest thou at any time dash thy foot against a stone. Okay, so again, he's just, you know, going into, he's saying, look, if thou be the Son of God, you know, if thou be the Son of God. So again, the devil is not saying here like, yo, look, I don't believe you exist, for one. But two, he's over here tempting him as far as, showing his powers and his works and stuff like that, in which Yahushua actually did show these works, but just not here. When he showed works here in this scenario, he wasn't tempted of the devil, but he actually does perform miracles and stuff like that in the sight of people. This is Matthew chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 13. And when Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" Okay, so Yahushua is asking, who are these people saying that I am? Okay, and they said, some say thou art John the Baptist, some say Elias, others say Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. So again, people here, you have an eyewitness of multiple people here. Multiple people are witnessing Yahushua. For this instance, multiple people here are witnessing that there's a human being walking around right here, like an actual human being. There's nothing weird about him. Like, it's not a spiritual human being, because some people be like, well, he didn't have a color, he was a spirit. Like, you can't crucify a spirit, okay? You can't feed a spirit. Yahushua they said that he was gluttonous and he was a wine bibber. Spirits don't need food and drink, and then you can't also put a spirit up on a cross. He had actual flesh and a skin color, and a mother and a father, and he had brothers, and I believe he had sisters as well, But nevertheless, multiple people was witnessing this human being like as an actual person walking around, for one thing. But as another thing, they was asking about more or less his position and the lot that he would come in, Just like people today saying that, oh, we're not the prophets or the men of the Lord. But like, shit, who else is out here on the highways and byways telling you all this stuff? Like, just crazy. But nevertheless, verse 14, and they said, some say thou John the Baptist, some say Elias, others say Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. And he said to them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said unto him, thou art a Hamashiach, the Son of the living power. Okay, so here, it says, look, basically the question is now is his position. Okay, you looking for his. First of all, we've established that there was actually a human being walking around in the flesh. Okay, that these people was talking about. This certain human being was walking around. He actually walked around. There was an actual person walking around doing all these things. A regular, like an actual person. Okay. Now the other part of this was his position. Whether or not he was going to fulfill the prophecies of being basically the Son of the Most High, the Savior. Just like now, the question is whether or not we're fulfilling our position as being the men of the Lord. Like, well, the scripture said they would be on the highways and the byways, sighing and crying for the abominations thereof. Also, he said, go out and bid them to the marriage. Also, it says, feed my flock. Also, it says, basically, how do you say, Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones, go prophesy into the dry bones, the house of Israel. And so, who's out there doing that? Is it these churches? No, these churches don't tell you who Israel is. Who else is this, It's just us, basically. So, you know what I mean? It's like, whether you want to believe it or not, we're fulfilling those things which we were supposed to do. So, go jump to the next one. This is Matthew chapter 26. It's down here. This is Matthew 26 and 59. Now the chief priests and elders and all the councils fought witness against Yahushua to put him to death. So again, this is that so-called corrupt government. Okay, so you have a corrupt government seeing they're about to be overthrown, more or less to say. So they came with him with a false witness. It says Matthew 26 and 59. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At last came two false witnesses, and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Yahweh and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it that these witnesses, what is which these witnesses witness against thee? But Yahushua held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living power, that thou tell us whether thou be the Hamashiach, the son of the power. Okay, so again, Yahushua is basically about to go on trial here, not for being, they're not saying that he did anything or nothing like that, but basically because he's saying that he's the son of the Most High. Okay, and it's not that was something strange to do. The only reason that was a problem was because here it says, now that in Matthew 26:59, this is the only problem with these people saying that he was the son of the Most High. Okay, not because of the miracles he did, which it was obvious, everything was obvious, but these was just corrupt ass people. Okay, just like what's that guy Nate Satan over there at IUIC? He know what the truth is, but yet he see it there's a threat to his power and position right now, because Esau taking care of him right now. He got all this money, this and that, and he knows, hey, look, Israel is about to start coming in, and I can sit there and fleece the flock more or less. They all fucked up and they want something better, so I'm gonna start ruling over them, And this is what his main problem is with GMS and stuff like that, because he knows that the truth is coming out over here for one, but the more and more people he has over there in his camp, the more and more people he can keep in his camp, that's why he tried to discredit, GMS, but the more and more people he can keep it in his camp, the more and more funds and capital he can raise up off of them, okay? The more and more money he can get up off of them. The same thing that is going on here in the scriptures. Now the chief priest, Matthew 26:59, now the chief priests and the elders of all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death, okay? Why? Because it was a threat to their position of power. Same way was going on here, like with, for example, any of these other camps, IUIC and so on and so forth, The reason they come up against GMS is basically because we're threatened to Nate's money structure, more or less to say, If it was exposed to the members of IUIC, like, yo, Nate himself even taught on the name Yahweh while Yahushua, okay? And those are the names he addressed them and called them as. But now he's bringing you back and putting you back to sleep, making you more docile and selling your information over to his master, the devil, so that when those times come, he can clamp down on you. So he's going to win-win in both sides. He's winning off of y'all right now, collecting money off of y'all. Then he's winning from the government because they paying him off for y'all information. But ultimately, he's going to lose out because, yo, man, you ain't supposed to do that, especially to the little ones, This is Matthew chapter 27, verse 54. It says, now when the centurion, these centurions would be Roman soldiers. Now what just happened was Yahushua was just put to death by these Roman centurions, okay? They was the ones who actually carried out the judgment, because they was the actual government, that was over top of basically Israel at the time, because they was in captivity, like how Puerto Rico's in captivity into America, a commonwealth, more or less to say, It says, now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Yahushua saw the earthquake and those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly this was the son of Yahweh. Okay? So even these centurions is believing. So we had a count where the devil, had to accept the fact, Pontius Pilate, now the subjects under Pilate, the Roman centurions, the so-called government that was over top of them, okay? Now these is Edomites at that too, or these is the enemies. These are like these so-called Babylonians, It's like us on the highways and the byways telling, telling America how America's about to get, put down, America's about to get destroyed and so on and so forth, and these so-called white people going into slavery, and the so-called Edomite cop roll up on us, that would be a centurion, and then they even catch up. It's like, what, y'all actually, you know what, you're right, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of strange that, the people we prophesying against, they can even get it after a while. I'm like, damn, you know what, you are kind of right. But see, the people that's leading you astray, they only leading you astray because it's a threat into their power structure. You taking money up out of their pocket. Therefore, they don't want to lose money out of their pocket, so they're going to lead you astray. And you see this happening day in and day out everywhere. Like that guy, there's a rapper, Future. right? Future has songs where a lot of his songs talk about doing drugs all damn day. But then there's I think it's Future where he says that he don't do no drugs but smoke weed. That's the only drug that he does. But yet he got songs where he's condoning Molly Percocets, Molly Percocets, you know? But that's because the people that's above him that's paying him is paying him to do that to further destroy his people. Now, if he come out and make songs about whatever he want to make songs about positive stuff, he gonna lose his money, fame, and his position in life. So he don't want to do all of that, you know? This is the book of Mark, chapter 3 and verse 11. I'm going to start at verse 10. Verse 9. Mark 3 and 9. And he spake to his disciples that a small ship should wait on him because of the multitude, lest they should throng him. For he had healed many, insomuch that they pressed upon him to touch him, as many as had plagues. And unclean spirits, when they saw him, fell down before him and cried, saying, Thou art the Son of God. So, now, a lot of these cases that I'm bringing out right now, none of these people are more or less the so-called righteous. Okay, you had the devil, Pontius Pilate, okay, and we're talking about unclean spirits here. They all reverencing what's going on here, you know? Like, this is the Most High Son. This is Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the chosen one, you know? Oh, I should have stayed there. This is, Mark chapter 5. I'll just read it down. This is Mark chapter 5, verse 1. And they came over unto the other side of the sea and into the country of Gardenius. And when he had come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling amongst the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because he had been often bound with fetters and chains by the chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Yahushua afar off, he ran and worshipped him. Okay, so you're going to see here, you got basically this man has been possessed with a bunch of demons, right? Okay, coming up and seeing Yahushua, and we're going to see how they interact, more or less to say. So now this man is possessed with all these demons, right? You know, and they can't control this man. I'm going to start at verse 6 again. This is Mark 5 and 6. But when he saw Yahushua afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Yahushua, thou Son of the Most High? I adjure thee by the Most High, that thou torment me not. So this man who's possessed with demons, the demons is speaking through him and saying, like, look, they even acknowledge that Yahushua is the Son of the Most High, and they understand that he has power over top of them. Like, listen, well, this is verse 8, For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, What is thy name? And he answered, My name is Legion, for we are many. Okay? And you can read down how he took these demons out, and they went into the swan, and the swan wound up killing themselves. Okay? So these spirits, these demons, they understand, and they even acknowledge. Okay? Now demons, you would think, you know, again, under the far left, far right paradigm, you know, the Most High is at the far right end of the spectrum. These demons, these devils, Pontius Pilate, these wicked, they all on the far left-hand side. Now, even these demons is acknowledging him as, you know, they didn't, the question wasn't, look, the question that they asked wasn't, or they didn't pose like, you ain't the Son of the Most High, you ain't nobody to me, you ain't shit. They didn't say nothing like that. Okay? They came in full reverence unto Yahushua, like, look, it says, Thou Son of the Most High Power, I adjure thee by Yahweh that thou torment me not. So they came in a subjection, like, look, don't hurt us. Like, we know who you are, we accept, like, we understand, we get it. Don't fuck us up. You know what I'm saying? But at the time being beforehand, they was running them up, doing what they had to do. Even before Yahushua rose up and came over onto that spot, you know, those same demons already knew, like, they was in their folly doing what they was doing. You know what I mean? They knew what was going on, but they still even understood the Most High was there, you know? And they understood and the authority of Yahushua. There was no question there, because when they seen him, they was like already getting into subjection. Like, yo, don't you come to torment us? Put us in these swans so we can go off and keep doing what we do. We'll lead this man, you know. They in full subjection under him, you know. There was no question and no authoritative struggle right there, you know. Grab a couple more scriptures and go ahead and close out. This is the book of John, chapter 1, verse 34. I'm going to just start at 32. 1 John 1 and 32. And John bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it abode on him, upon him. It's talking about Yahushua when he was being baptized. So John is bearing witness unto people that's there, okay? And also he's bearing witness into all the generations that will be after inside this here record that we're reading. This is how we bringing this here out unto you now. This record is still being bore right in front of you to this day. John chapter 1 verse 32 again. And John bare record, saying, I saw the Spirit descending from heaven like a dove, and it abode upon him. And I knew him not, but he that sent me to baptize with water, the same said unto me, upon whom thou shalt see the Spirit descending and remaining on him, the same is he which baptized with the Holy Ghost. And I saw and bear record that this is the Son of God. I'm gonna just read it like that. Okay, so John said again here, he bear record that this is the Son of God. You know, and he's out there baptizing other people and stuff like that, and he's telling them this story. He's also putting it in his here book that he's bearing record that it should stand, you know. Just like somebody writing it in a history book for that record to bear witness, we still have it unto this day, okay? And you can see the effects of all this going on even unto this day. People are still doing these same things even unto this day. Where do they get these ideas from? Okay? Let me read this famous one real quick. We can close out after this. This is John 3:16. I love this script now, you know. Let me get in third chapter first. John 3:16. For Yahweh so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Now, we'll get it. All right. So let me just cut there. The fact of the matter is, we talking about believeth on him. It's not believing that he existed or not. Okay, because again, everybody believed that he existed. Okay, except for you really, really low-level people who's going into this, following after the so-called brainwashing and doctrine that these Catholics, these higher-up Catholics and Jesuits and shit like that is pushing. You know, the fact that they try to discredit that he even existed, try to brainwash whoever, you know, is so low-level enough. But even those high-level, we call them people, the Jesuits and stuff like that, they even believe that Yahushua existed. You know, they make mockery of him, but they believe he existed. They understand everything that's going on. They just make mockery of him, you know. They trying to see if they could throw your ass off, because they know if they could throw you off and get you to not believe on your own power, that they will become your God. So it's not a question of whether or not he existed, but whether or not you're going to follow his laws, statutes, and commandments, you know. Like here in America, you know, you got these criminals and stuff. Hey, man, why don't you join our gang? We don't have to, you know, listen to the law and stuff like that. You see gangbangers and stuff like that. They live by their own law and their own thing that they got going on. They don't live contrary to the American government and the American law that's going on over here. But yet they still believe that shit exists, you know. When they see the police, that's why they be ducking and dodging them. They believe that the police exist. They believe that what they're doing is wrong. They just don't want to, you know, they just are willing to accept that we're going to just do wrong because that's what we want to do, you know. It says, John 3:16 again, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever should believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For Yahweh sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of Yahweh. This is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doth evil hateth light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest as they are wrought in Yahweh. So the bottom half of this is breaking down the whole whosoever in John 3:16, whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Again, it's not talking about whether or not you believe he existed or not. Okay? You can believe that he exists, like so-called hardcore atheists, oh yeah, we believe he exists, we just mocking him. They believe he exists, that they just not following his law, statutes, commandments. So this is what that belief is talking about. It says, verse 19, and this is condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. Just like those chief priests and stuff. They believed that, what was going on. They believed in Yahushua more than anybody else, because think about it. If they didn't believe that he was actually the Son of God and that he was a threat to their power structure, you think they would have went as hard as they did? Okay, there was any and everybody else would be like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, but don't nobody really believe that, Just like how you have some low-level people here in America who say that they don't like America, this and that, and they want to go do some shit to America, but, the government is looking at their ass like, all right, this nigga ain't got no resources, he ain't really doing shit, and he too busy doing X, Y, and Z, playing video games and smoking weed all damn day, okay? He ain't really no threat. We ain't really worried about no shit like that. But the nigga that's over there stockpiling guns and shit like that and doing all kind of extra shit, okay, now we that's an actual threat to us. We got to go and address that threat, But, so here's talking about, it says, this is the condemnation that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. So the problem is, I'm believing on Yahushua. It's like, listen, you got the people who's doing so-called righteousness and those that are doing so-called wickedness. Or here, I'll use the example of America again, okay? The only people who, and this is a kind of a bad example, but I'll use this just for this example, The only people who don't like, damn, this is a really bad example, but follow me for a second. The only people who don't like the law and the police and shit like that here in America is criminals, okay? Because if you're not a criminal, you ain't breaking the laws, then, the fuck is the police doing with you anyway, So the only people who don't like the police rolling up on them is crooks, more or less to say, criminals. They don't like the police because the police going to expose their ass and put them in the jail. The dope boys don't like the police because they going to fuck up their business and throw them in the jail. But if you ain't no dope boy, you ain't worried about the police like that, And so that was the example. Again, that was a bad example because we know that Esau is the damn devil and, he just do his wickedness. But, for an example, And this is the condemnation that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. Yeah, they don't like being exposed because they doing that wicked shit, For everyone that doth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doth the truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest that they are wrought in Yahweh. Okay? I got one more script. We're going to close out after that. I haven't drug on way too long. This is the book of John, chapter 10. Start at verse 33. And the Jews answered him, saying, For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because thou, being a man, makest thyself God. Okay? So, now again, the people, the so-called wicked government, okay, that was over top of, for this example, you have a government that's a corrupt government, about to basically be overthrown. And this is the reason why. It says, the Jews answered, saying, For a good work we stone thee not. They saw the works and the miracles he was doing, just like they see us on the highways and the byways doing exactly what we were supposed to be doing. For good works we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, because thou being a man makest thyself God. So basically, it's not even because he said he's the Son of God or nothing like that, but really, at the end of it all, it's like, because you basically said that you over top of us. Really, they so used to everybody being in subjection under them. Now they're saying, wait a minute, there's something wrong. You talking about you over top of us, and we need to be in subjection unto you. Now we getting money over here, bro. You're not gonna come on our block and tax our block, like dope boys and drug dealers. You got turf wars. All right, y'all over here pushing on this block. Now we're going to come and shut y'all down. Y'all got to pay us taxes and tribute. Nah, bro, we don't see none of that because you ain't finna come and take our money up off our plate, you know, so now there's a power struggle. This is why you have wars and things being raged, because of you taking somebody else's resources or they food off of their plate, you know. And this is what these men was looking at it as. It's not that they saw the works that he was doing and they agreed to that, you know. It says, verse 34, Yahushua answered them saying, is it not written in your law? I say, ye are gods. Yeah, Psalms 82 and 6. If he called them gods unto whom the word of God came, and the scriptures cannot be broken, say ye of him whom the Father hath sanctified and sent into the world, thou blasphemest, because I say I am the Son of God? If I do not the works of my Father, believe me not. So again, it's not that he existed or nothing like that. It's more or less that whether or not they're going to bow down unto him and get into that subjection under him, because him saying he's the Son of God more or less putting him at the top of the power structure, okay? Where these men is at the top of the power structure. So somebody got to fall for the other people to reign, just like with Jacob and Esau right now. That's why these Edomites don't like us out on the highways and the byways, because they see they about to go down and they want to stop that because we being raised up, you know? Same thing going on here. These people who was ruling for a while, getting money, you know, working with the Romans and stuff, they're like, listen, and being money changers, they're like, listen, homeboy finna come over here, and because Yahushua already came in the church and overthrew the money changers. They're like, nah, you fucking up our money, homie. Talking about we can't have idols and shit. We selling it, we making money off of this, homie. It says, verse 37, if I do not the works of my Father, believe me not. But if I do, though you believe me not, believe the works, that you may know and believe that the Father is in me and I am in him. So again, it's like, look, you know, again, the controversy isn't whether or not he existed or not. You know, controversy wasn't whether or not he did miracles or anything like that or not. The only real controversy was about some corrupt-ass, wicked people who didn't want to lose their spot in power. So these people come up with all these lies and this disinformation to distract everybody else. And, you know, it's no wonder it's still going on until this day in every aspect, you know. We trying to bring out the children of Israel, who they are, this and that. You have E.J. Love and all these other little fake Christian truths. All these people coming out trying to scoff and all this stuff, trying to, discredit us. Why? Because they was making big money in these damn churches week in, week out, you know. People was putting all their money into their tithes and offerings, and these people was getting all this money untaxed. But now what's going on? Israel's starting to wake up. Those Valley of Dry Bones starting to come together, and these churches are being emptied out, you know. And so these people are losing their income. So now these people have to go and defend what? Not the gospel. They're defending their income. This is where it's all at. So if you get caught up in all that and you don't see that that's what these people are doing, you're liable to take on resources and information from these people who has an agenda. Their agenda is to keep money coming in their pocket, keep themselves into a power structure to where they still getting it, okay? Now, and they will throw any and every damn thing at your ass for you to believe not, you know? But, you know, once you start coming to this truth, the truth is going to set you free. You're going to be free from all their bonds and all their powers and stuff like that, you know? But nevertheless, like I said, I didn't drug on way too long. But Lord Wilderness Here video was edifying, you know? And you know, we kind of squashed that, whether or not it be some belief on whether he existed or not, because that was never a question on whether he existed or not. The know-hows and the higher-ups of people who know anything know that he existed, okay? Like these Jesuits, these higher-ups in these religious places, they all know. They all understand that he existed. They know everything about him, you know? The government, you know? This also came out of camp, you know? They were saying that, oh, y'all believe in that stuff, you know? Only low-level ass people don't believe in, you know, the Most High and His Son and that they coming back, you know? Really low-level, like all you Americans and you low-level people, because we as the men of the Lord, we preparing ourselves for the return, you know? Going on the highways and the byways, doing this here work, cleaning our own self up and stuff like that, you know? We doing our end, and these, you know, we the high level, we the elites on the right-hand side, okay? And what are the elites on the left-hand side doing? Okay, they got the Star Wars program. What did Ronald Reagan say about the Star Wars program? Okay, what if there was an outside alien threat that came in? We would put all our differences aside and band together and fight against that threat. That's why they came out with the Star Wars program. Just like in Second Esdras, how they say they was afraid, but they durst fight, you know? They're going to stop fighting one another, and they're going to fight Yahushua when he come back, okay? So the scriptures believe that, well, the scriptures bear witness to that. we out here in faith, you know what I'm saying, we following after that, getting right. And out of faith and belief, the so-called white men, the Edomites, the devil, is doing the same thing. So the elites on their side and the elites on our side is doing the same thing. What are you low-level peons in the middle doing? Y'all say that this don't exist, but y'all don't have no kind of information, no kind of proof or anything like that, you know? We have proof and information, you know, the certain information and proof that we was given on our side, and Esau has this certain proof and information he has on his side, you know? Like he has these telescopes and stuff out in outer space where he can actually see these things out in outer space and all these UFO sightings, chariot sightings. He has all these things, you know. He knows these things, you know, the artifacts and stuff like that. He knows these things, you know. But nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and close out with that because, like I said, I didn't drug on way too long. Lord, this video was edifying. Until next time, I say, Call Halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone that taught me his truth and rule well. Salutations to you, Akim, on the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth and sincerity. Stay strong. Shalom.